On the night when I got the phone call, absolutely unbelievable. Could not believe it. I got a phone call to say we'd evacuated the branch was on fire and the fire brigade were on their way. We have a number of different things that we have in place. One is a 24-hour emergency telephone that we can contact the business, and then from a branch point of view, we have partners fully trained in their procedures and what they should do in the event of a fire. That all happened really, really well. We have a fully trained duty manager who has an emergency grab folder, so he can literally grab a folder on the way out, and that has all of the procedures, all of the contacts, all of the telephone numbers and everything in the event of something like this happening that he needs to think about and take into consideration. All the partners were fantastic in terms of getting out. They got customers out, they got themselves out, and they all congregated in the assembly points and then moved away to another safe place altogether, so we could be sure that everybody who was working on duty that night had actually made their way out of the building. I was then in contact by phone with the support desk, and a number of things in the centre swings into action at that point. So for instance, we at that stage were thinking about how big is this fire going to be? Are we likely to consider even opening in a small way the following day? Is it likely to be longer than that? And as the evening transpired and we went through that, we realised the fire was getting bigger and bigger. It was very, very windy that night, and so the flames were being fanned very high. And it reminded me of a bonfire when I was young, where all the flames come sort of whipping off the top of the fire. That was exactly it. You know, the building was being fanned and was well ablaze at that point. As we realised that we weren't going to be open for the following day's trade, the deliveries that had already been selected were rediverted, and that stock was sent off to different branches. I was on site again by about 6 o'clock in the morning, because a lot of my partners would have started at 6 the following morning. So in the unlikely event that they hadn't heard about it, I wanted to make sure we were here for when that first person turned up for work. One said, I've got a business laptop, we can use that. 2 or 3 with business phones, because we'd lost all of that in the fire. And so suddenly we then created a command and communication centre, I suppose, in the local cafe up the road, who were fantastic. The following morning, on that Saturday morning, the managing director came and attended, and another couple of senior directors from the business. And I remember walking down the high street with them and looking at what was by then just a shell of a building, which was still being dampened down and still smoking. And as we walked down and we walked past the Woolworths business, he looked across and said to me, could we trade out of there? And at that stage, Woolworths were in receivership, and they had already posted a date that they were closing. And that then, I think, was the first seed of being able to continue the business. We opened up actually 2 months to the day. So 12th of December was the fire, 12th of February was the reopening of what affectionately known in our business as Baby Banstead. And it still has a real special place in a lot of partners' hearts as the place that they actually went to throughout that fallow period while we were rebuilding. Within 8 weeks we opened, and that included Christmas, included the New Year as well. We reopened for trade, and it was like a homecoming in terms of the customers who flooded in on that first day and were just pleased to see us back. We really brought it home to us that we were an integral part of the village, having traded for that many years, 44 years in the village. And the rebuild really worked through from early summer right the way through to when we reopened on the 26th of November 2009, and that was 49 weeks after the fire, which I think is pretty much a record. I think you'd be hard pushed to build a house and be in there within that period of time, to build a large supermarket with all its facilities and get everybody back and trading by the 26th of November, less than a year after the fire. In my 30 years in the business, this is the most significant situation I've ever had to deal with. Very pleased to have a business continuity plan in place. Without that business continuity plan, this whole situation would have been far more challenging.